Please rise for the procession. Please rise. Please sit. Good evening to you all, and a warm welcome to the Great Hall of Ghana's premier university, the University of Ghana. This evening we have another opportunity to celebrate a member of our university community who has risen through the various ranks in the academic ladder and attained full professorship. Professor Vincent Boima, who is the head of the Department of Medicine and Therapeutics at the University of Ghana Medical School, will take us on a journey through his many years of research and clinical work on one of the most important organs in the human body, which is the kidney. His inaugural lecture is on the topic, From Genes to Mind, Holistic Pathways to Precision Kidney Care for Africa. I shall now invite the Director of Public Affairs, Dr. Elise Ameyao-Bronya, who is representing the Registrar, to deliver introductory remarks and introduce the chairperson for this evening's lecture. Please let's welcome her with a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pascaline Songsori. Madam Vice-Chancellor, Pro-Vice-Chancellors and other university officials, members of convocation, students and staff, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our friends from the media, a very good evening to you all. Good evening. On behalf of the Registrar of the University of Ghana, I welcome you all to the Great Hall. We also acknowledge those joining us online for this lecture. We are delighted that you all were able to join us for this evening's inaugural lecture to be delivered by Professor Vincent Boima, Head of the Department of Medicine and Therapeutics at the University of Ghana Medical School. Inaugural lectures are a significant tradition and part of the university's calendar, and every academic who rises to the rank of professor is expected to deliver an inaugural lecture. This offers the university the opportunity to recognize and showcase the academic achievements of its faculty, and also enables professors to share their research insights with colleagues within the university and outside the university, while celebrating this important milestone with friends and family. I am pleased to introduce the chairperson for today's inaugural lecture. Our chairperson is the first female Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana and is a professor of linguistics, an accomplished administrator, and brings over 2 decades of experience in the higher education sector. Within the University of Ghana, she has held several leadership positions, including Pro-Vice-Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs, Founding Dean of the School of Languages, and Head of the Department of Linguistics. As Vice-Chancellor, she's championing the integration of technology across the university's operations while ensuring that people remain at the heart of its mission. Our chairperson has received numerous accolades for her contributions to education, leadership, and the empowerment of women. She is chair of the Council of the Association of Commonwealth Universities, the vice chair of the Worldwide Universities Network Partnership Board, and the Association of African Universities Ambassador for Gender Equity and Social Inclusion. She is the founding president of the African Humanities Association and president of the International Federation of Modern Languages and Literatures. Additionally, she serves as the vice chair on the boards of the African Research Universities Alliance and the Worldwide Universities Network. She is also a fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences and an active member of several esteemed academic professional organizations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Professor Nanaba Appiah Amfo, Vice-Chancellor of this university and our chairperson for this evening.
Thank you, Madam Acting Registrar, Pro-Vice-Chancellors, Registrar, Provosts, Deans, Directors, Heads of Department, our distinguished lecturer, Professor Vincent Boima, faculty, staff, and members of convocation, past and present senior officers of the university, alumni and students, family, friends, and associates of the lecturer, specially invited guests from the health sector, esteemed traditional rulers, eminent clergy, the media, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and a warm welcome to all our cherished audience, both in person and online. It is my singular honor to chair this evening's inaugural lecture to be presented by Professor Vincent Boima, Head Department of Medicine and Therapeutics, University of Ghana Medical School. Congratulations, Professor Boima, on your sustained scholarship and contribution to healthcare, particularly in the area of kidney care. This evening's lecture speaks to a major health challenge facing Ghana, Africa, and the wider world: chronic kidney disease and the urgent need for care models that are not only scientifically sound, but also equitable, context-specific, and responsive to the realities of our health systems. From the abstract, the objectives of this lecture is clear. First, it seeks to reframe kidney care through a holistic precision nephrology model that integrates genetics, psychological well-being, and community-based prevention and continuity of care. Second, it aims to show that precision medicine in Africa must go beyond advanced technology alone and must be adapted to the social, economic, ethical, and clinical realities of our people. Third, it challenges us to strengthen prevention, improve early detection, and build health systems that can respond more effectively to the growing burden of kidney disease. This lecture also reminds us that the burden of chronic kidney disease in Africa is disproportionately high, with many patients presenting late, often in advanced stages, and that in Ghana, the disease affects many younger and economically active people. It further highlights the importance of hypertension and diabetes control, accessible screening, stronger mental health support, and responsible genetic research. Before Professor Boima mounts the podium to deliver the lecture, permit me to share his profile. So you have the full-length profile in the brochures, also available online via the QR code, and so I will try an abridged version of this. Professor Vincent Boima is a professor of medicine and nephrology and the head of the Department of Medicine and Therapeutics at the University of Ghana Medical School. His career is defined by a mission to improve systems for the prevention, early detection, and sustained treatment of kidney disease, while generating locally relevant evidence to improve outcomes for African patients. His approach integrates biomedical nephrology with health systems thinking and the psychosocial dimensions of chronic disease. Professor Boima attended KJB Secondary School for his ordinary level certificate, so it means he's from the old stock, and Bishop Herman Secondary School, Pando, for his A-level certificate. He subsequently obtained a BSc in Medical Sciences, followed by an MB-CHB in Medicine and Surgery from the University of Ghana Medical School. He then completed the membership in internal medicine at the West African College of Physicians. To strengthen his research training, he earned a certificate in research methodology at Stellenbosch University, Cape Town. He undertook subspecialty training in nephrology in Cape Town, completing both the International Society of Nephrology / Stellenbosch University Fellowship in Nephrology and Fellowship Certificate in Nephrology at the University of Stellenbosch / Tegeberg Hospital. He later earned a fellowship in internal medicine from the West African College of Physicians and completed training in research methods, biostatistics, proposal development, and scientific writing through the Cardiovascular Research Institute, New York University. He was admitted as a fellow of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons in internal medicine in December 2016 and subsequently obtained a Master of Public Health degree from the University of Ghana in 2019. At the University of Ghana, Professor Boima served as lecturer and senior lecturer in the Department of Medicine and Therapeutics and associate professor as well. Beyond UGMS, he has served as a part-time lecturer for residents in training at the 37 Military Hospital / Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons since September 2015 and was research coordinator for the Department of Medicine and Therapeutics at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. His clinical career at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital spans early internship through specialist and senior specialist roles. Professor Boima has held key administrative and leadership roles within UGMS and Kolebu Teaching Hospital. He has served as UGMS representative on the University of Ghana Academic Board and also on the College Academic Board. Regionally, he is the chair of the Renal Registry of the African Association of Nephrology, and he also served as secretary of the Internal Medicine Faculty of the West African College of Physicians. He is currently the vice president of the association. Within the University of Ghana, he serves on key governance and quality structures. Externally, he is a member of the Maternal Mortality Audit Committee at Kolebu Teaching Hospital, a member of the Africa Regional Board of the International Society of Nephrology, and a member of the steering committee of the H3 Africa Kidney Disease Research Network. He currently serves on the Technical Oversight Committee of the Ghana Medical Trust Fund and is a member of the committee that developed the fund's legal documentation. In addition, he is a member of the Continuing Medical Education Committee of the Ghana Medical Association and the Credentials Committee of the Medical and Dental Council. He is a member of the Rare Kidney Disease Journal Editorial Board for Glomcon Foundation. In addition to university governance and departmental leadership roles, Professor Boima has contributed to regional capacity building through curriculum development and harmonization for renal physician training in the West African sub-region. He has participated in national guidelines development efforts in collaboration with the Ministry of Health. He's also led protocol development to structure nephrology fellowship training and has supported efforts towards accreditation of a regional nephrology training center under the International Association of Nephrology framework. Professor Boima is an active member of professional bodies spanning nephrology and internal medicine, including the International Society of Nephrology, American Society of Nephrology, South African Renal Society, African Association of Nephrology, Ghana Kidney Association, Ghana Medical Association, and the Ghana Medical and Dental Council. The Ghana Medical and Dental Fellowship. He is also a fellow of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons and of the West African College of Physicians. Professor Boima's research focuses on the epidemiology and lived experience of chronic kidney disease and other chronic non-communicable diseases in Ghana, with particular emphasis on psychological comorbidity, including depression, anxiety, and cognitive impairment, and its impact on quality of life and adherence. A major strand of his work examines public and patient perceptions of CKD treatment, that's chronic kidney disease treatment options, especially kidney transplantation within Ghana's cultural, religious, and health systems context, including willingness to pay and willingness to donate organs. He is also engaged in genetics and CKD research through the H3 Africa Kidney Disease Research Network. He is a reviewer for several local and international journals. Professor Boima has secured and contributed to competitively funded research as principal investigator and co-investigator. His funded portfolio includes University of Ghana RAID grants. He is a co-investigator on major multi-country genomic and bioethics engagement programs, including NHGRI-funded community engagement in biobanking and genomics, as well as an NHLBI-funded supported project on genetic underpinnings in cardiorenal risk in Africans and African Americans. Professor Boima is deeply involved in undergraduate and postgraduate medical education. At UGMS, he teaches across the clinical years in internal medicine. He also contributes substantially to postgraduate specialist and subspecialist training for residents and nephrology fellows of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons and the West African College of Physicians. His mentorship includes supervision and co-supervision of multiple graduate and fellowship theses, as well as supervision of undergraduate medical and allied health research projects. Professor Boima's clinical practice is centered on renal medicine and internal medicine at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, complemented by multi-institutional consultancy work in Accra. In 2006, Professor Boima received the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital Best Worker Award, Doctors category. He has contributed extensively to kidney health awareness and prevention through sustained participation in World Kidney Day activities, including public education via television and radio, community screening for kidney disease, and continuing medical education for primary care physicians. He supported Ghana Kidney Association outreach activities and contributed to health system administrative improvement through NHIS claims form editing for the Department of Medicine, and participated in fundraising and infrastructure support for dialysis services. Professor Boima was born in Boko in the Upper East region and hails from Leklebi, Agbesia, near Hohoi in the Volta region. He is married to Afi Ofosu Boima, who is a risk management analyst, and they have 2 children, Fafa and Mawena Kekeli. His personal interests include driving and watching football. I didn't know driving could be a hobby. He was baptized in 1987 and has remained steadfast in his faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. He has served in several Christian leadership and service roles. He's a member of the medical team at the International Central Gospel Church Christ Temple. Currently, he's a member of the Korle Bu Community Chapel, where he serves as a council member and the head of the infirmary. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor to invite our distinguished lecturer, Professor Vincent Boima, to speak to us on the topic From Genes to Mind, Holistic Pathways to Precision Kidney Care for Africa. Thank you and enjoy the lecture.
Obimfue Nanaba Appiah Amfo Mone Kasa Ananu matran konwa Akunro oni ani ntina Mo hye mu sabre Manyana kwaba Asia pon wa mamra abiribi ayeye enipa bi ekon kodene na edinya efre no obemfo anasa professor Onyano bedru sa mpempen so no a yamana kwanya ma obeye abadwa mu kasa kire ebi na yadru so nei into obenfue Vincent Boima. Medin kaya mambo. Morning quadrant. What will fun? What? I can't be how many. Oshano wa someone ya chira ya kan ya chira ye na me busan se te prof wonya daje pa ebrenim ni nyina so ma no ye dio kana man kwaso ntira se watete akuni ni anintin wo man mu wa mani pa bia na nka ni bi na won so anya ba bia si Vincent mo money antuma pa ti asoma me se ansa na obeka sano memra na me fa sepre wei anyo tata semia sinipa ya dia saye ya yi no ani pa ya de panso a ya ka medin kama mo sanso amo kwaba sawo kunu amekana sami aya mami afi Vincent Boima ana ne kunu no obapa ya mamo ebisa abosoba ena ma ye japaye womwa Intimate kwatu yana professor fona yeni adaje o ankoya workshop work conference senya conference na okoye okoma lecture edru be bia oya board member nti o so okwa na adwen abusia sam you can so external examiner officer adwumana dos nanso we se beba so a age se nipa bi anyame nhira no nti Vincent me nan sabro ya me kan se ebra no aso akuni ni ani ntina hia srawa ma muswe Gana de shi etiawo wa bimfue abla no dro kasawo
Madam VC Chair, Professor Nana Appiah Amfo, Prof Academic and Students Affairs, Prof Research and Innovation Directorate, Provost of the various colleges, Deans, Directors, Heads of Departments, former VCs, former Pro VCs, Togbeo, Mamao, family, friends, students, distinguished guests, media, ladies and gentlemen. This evening's lecture is on From Genes to Mind, Holistic Pathways to Precision Kidney Care for Africa. So right from the topic, you can see that I will be talking about genes that predispose us to the development of kidney disease. And I will be talking about how chronic illnesses, including chronic kidney disease, affect our minds. So if these are detected, we can provide a holistic care for our patients and improve their outcomes of care. Before I proceed with my lecture, I want to say that I've come this far by the grace of God, who has seen me through and has brought me thus far. So far, I must say, I have been riding on his wings, and he has used many remarkable people along the way to help me. So I remain deeply indebted to my mentors and trainers in academia, research, and clinical practice, whose guidance and encouragement have been invaluable throughout my professional journey. They have generously shared their knowledge and trusted me with opportunities for growth and consistently supported me at every stage. Importantly, their mentorship has extended beyond professional instruction in the ward and consulting room to sincere interest in my personal and professional well-being. I truly am grateful for their investment in my development, and these people include Dr. Jumoyedu, who was recently awarded the Order of the British Empire, Professor Michael Matekole, who in addition to this taught me to be humble, to be approachable, and to be teachable. And the late Professor Kwame Afram, may his soul continue to rest peacefully, who encouraged me in diverse ways. In fact, one day he called me and said, Vincent, for us, we put our whole head in the book, but you must invest in your future. May his legacy be blessed and his memory remain blessed forever. Dr. Charlotte Osafo, who, through his encouragement and support, have also climbed the ladder steadily until I got to this point. So I had the privilege of studying nephrology in Cape Town through sponsorship from the International Society of Nephrology, made possible through the support of many mentors and colleagues aforementioned. During that time, I met Professor Razin Davids, who has been tremendously instrumental in my professional and academic development. He trained me, created numerous research opportunities for me, and above all, exemplified humanity and compassion. Prof. Davids cares deeply for people regardless of color or creed, and he continues to follow my progress even to this day. Since my return to Ghana, we have collaborated to secure International Society of Nephrology sponsorship for 6 other doctors to train in Cape Town, all of whom are now back and practicing in Ghana, with another currently in training in Cape Town. Through his dedication, Prof. Davids has contributed significantly to the training of many nephrologists currently practicing in Ghana. Today, I am proud that our center has now been accredited by the International Society of Nephrology as a training center for the sub-region. Prof. Davids, if you're listening this evening, and I hope you're online, I simply want to say thank you for your mentorship, your generosity, and for all that you have done for us who train under you and are back currently working in Ghana. Once you are enrolled into the program in Cape Town under Prof. Davids, automatically you are also enrolled into the running club. So this picture you see on the screen is a picture taken during my first 5-kilometer race after months of coaching in the running club. And the person in black and white t-shirt running close to me is the coach of the running club. He is ensuring that I complete the race. So I came back to Ghana with 6 packs, but now I have 1 full pack. So I need to get back onto the road again. One man actually made all the difference. The man who made an extraordinary difference in my academic progression is Professor Charles Christopher Matekole. I was introduced to him by his brother, Professor Michael Matekole, whose name I mentioned earlier on. And he subsequently established a multidisciplinary research group within the University of Ghana Medical School and College of Health Sciences. Over the past decade, through his visionary leadership, guidance, and mentorship, many of us have made significant strides in academia, including myself, Professor Ernest York, Professor Jifade, Professor Irene Krechi, our junior brother, Dr. Vincent Gano, who is about to defend his PhD, as well as several masters and PhD students who have progressed remarkably in their respective fields. Earlier this year, Prof. Matekole called us together and informed us that he wanted us to begin chairing the group while he gradually took a back seat. We immediately understood the deeper lesson that he was intentionally preparing us to mentor the next generation, just as he mentored us. Since then, we have recruited younger faculty into the group, and they too are making significant progress. From Matekole, Professor Charles Christopher Matekole Thank you for your vision, your selfless mentorship, and for building a legacy that will continue for generations. Madam VC Chair, I'm starting my lecture this evening not with labs or scans, but with a patient. Several years ago at the Kolebo Teaching Hospital, I met a middle-aged market trader from Accra. She had lived with hypertension for years, undiagnosed and treated. When she finally came to us, she did not present with high blood pressure. She presented with end-stage kidney disease, what we call kidney failure. And dialysis at this point became her only option. Then as her treatment unfolded, something else became clear. She was profoundly depressed. She struggled to adhere to care, and she kept asking a simple, painful question, one that stopped me cold. Doctor, could these have been prevented? That question has never left me. This inaugural lecture is my attempt as a clinician, a scientist, and a teacher to answer it. It is a story of how the mind, the community we lived in, and the genes we inherit converge to shape kidney health in Africa. It is a story of how, if we truly understand that convergence, we can build a pathway to prevention, equity, and precision kidney care, led not from anywhere else, but from this continent. So my presentation will be according to this outline. I will talk about the burden of chronic kidney disease in Ghana and Africa. I'll talk about genes that increase our risk of developing kidney disease, and I'll also talk about how chronic illnesses affect our mind, and also talk about how, if possible, when we go to the community, we can detect risk factors that increase our risk of developing kidney disease, perhaps close the tap right there and decrease the burden of kidney disease or other forms of organ failures that inundate us in the teaching hospital where we work. So, Madam VC Chair, chronic kidney disease is said to be at least 3 to 4 times more common in low and middle income countries compared to high income countries, where the prevalence is around 9 or 10%. That means that 3 or 16 out of every 100 people have or may be living with chronic kidney disease in Africa. Madam VC Chair, the burden is even higher in sub-Saharan Africa where we reside, and that's around 16% of inhabitants of sub-Saharan Africa may be living with chronic kidney disease. If the population currently of sub-Saharan Africa is around 1.29 billion, that means that about 200 million people in this part of the world may be living with chronic kidney disease, and that's roughly the combined population of Nigeria and Ghana combined. Sadly, these people who are afflicted with chronic kidney disease are very young in their youthful years of life, most of them within their productive ages, mostly between the ages of 20 to 50 years, compared to Europe, where most people with chronic kidney disease, even on dialysis, are more than 60 years of age. So if you look at the screen, the red bars represent the young ages pattern of our patients in Africa. And when you look at the blue bars as well, you see the ages of patients who have chronic kidney disease in high-income countries, and most of whom are above 60 years of age compared to our young patient population. In Ghana, the current prevalence of chronic kidney disease is 13.3%, and with a current population of about 35.5 million, that translates into almost close to 5 million people in Ghana who may be living with chronic kidney disease. Most of the patients who are afflicted with chronic kidney disease in Ghana, again, are very young people in their productive years of life. Mostly the mean age for our patients is around 45 years of age, with a range of 20 to 59 years, compared again to Europe, when most people are above the age of 60 years. That means that people from this part of the world develop kidney disease some 20 to 30 years earlier compared to people in high-income countries. Madam VC Chair, the driving factors for these burden or huge burden of kidney disease among our populace include hypertension, diabetes, chronic inflammation in the kidney, what we call chronic glomerulonephritis, infections like hepatitis B, HIV, and hepatitis C, exposure to environmental toxins from the herbal concoctions, the aphrodisiacs, the bitters, etc., and the indiscriminate use of over-the-counter painkillers like brufen, diclofenac, among others. Of course, hereditary conditions and genes also increase our risk of developing kidney disease. So this graph actually is data from our renal registry in Ghana, which shows the very young ages of people who are afflicted with kidney disease compared to the one on the graph on my right-hand side, who are people in Europe who are on dialysis, and most of whom are above the age of 60 years. This year I was at the World Congress of Nephrology in Japan, and when they presented their data, the average age of people on dialysis in Japan is 70 years. But here in Ghana, majority of our patients are so young, between the ages of 20 to 50 years. Madam VC Chair, it is said that most of the conditions are aforementioned, including hypertension and diabetes, being risk factors for chronic kidney disease, perhaps may not be enough to explain the excess risk of kidney disease afflicting our youth in this part of the world. So research has really been going on to find out whether there's a genetic predisposition to the development of chronic kidney disease, which is afflicting the young people in our part of the world. So about 10 years ago, a gene called apolipoprotein L1 gene, from henceforth I'll be saying ApoL1, the full name is apolipoprotein L1 gene, was discovered to be perhaps the main factor explaining the excess risk of kidney disease among our population. This gene actually existed about 30 million years ago, but the ones that cause chronic kidney disease or cause kidney disease emerged only about 10,000 years ago. And they emerged purely because of the persistence of sleeping sickness, what we call trypanosomiasis. And they emerged to protect you and I from developing the sleeping sickness. That was purely their role. However, it is also known and has been studied and found that if you have two of these risk variants, your risk of chronic kidney disease is very high. So on one hand, this gene is slicing the trypanosomes that cause sleeping sickness and shielding you and I from developing sleeping sickness. On the other hand, it is slicing our kidneys and damaging our kidneys and predisposing us to getting chronic kidney disease. So it is serving as a double-edged sword. Madam VC Chair, the original data or research work that actually brought about these genetic predisposition to kidney disease was originally done in the US, and it was found that the African Americans in the US were the ones who have the higher prevalence of these genes. And they found something quite also very important, which most of the people in the US were having this high frequency of these genes were actually from West Africa. So this study was actually brought to Africa to be conducted again. It was conducted largely in Ghana and Nigeria. And the main PI for this research was again Dr. Jumoedu, and co-investigators, including me, Prof. Matekole, and other faculty of the University of Ghana were on this project. It's a landmark finding, as it is the first of its kind conducted in this part of the world with large sample size. So we found out from this study that 43% of our population, those participating in this study, have the one risk variant. And close to 30% of them have the two risk variants. We also discovered from this study that when you have the two risk variants, your risk of developing chronic kidney disease increases by 25%. And your risk of developing chronic inflammation in the kidney, what we call focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, increases by 84%. One striking thing that we also discovered was that even the one risk variant, it's still very important, as one risk variant also increases our risk of developing kidney disease by 18% and increases our risk of developing chronic inflammation in the kidneys by 61%. Madam VC Chair, one other striking thing we found was that there is an ethnic disparity in the distribution of these genes in our part of the world. So taking Ghana, for instance, 7.2% of accounts have the two risk variants compared to 19% of the Ghanaians and 17% of people from the Volta region. And then we discovered a similar ethnic disparity also in Nigeria, where the Igbos have 42% higher prevalence of the two risk variants compared to the Yorubas and the Fulanis, who also have about 12.1%. The reason for this is not known, but this poses a huge public health problem, which requires that we put measures in place to screen people at high risk of developing this gene-associated kidney disease and tailor-made treatment that will improve their outcome. So that's a precision kidney care we're talking about. When you find the underlying cause, target it with therapy and treat the patient like that, that means that you probably are able to improve outcomes of care. And that is the precision therapy we are talking about. So these findings have actually opened doors for other translational breakthrough research. And the people are out there looking for biomarkers in the urine that can help predict this gene-associated chronic kidney disease, some of which are already out and published, and also open the door for clinical trials in developing drugs that can inhibit the function of this gene. And currently, I'm happy to say that we are one of the clinical sites actually participating in this clinical trial. We hope that when these drugs finally works in our population, it will really go a long way in slowing down the progression of kidney disease and keep these patients off kidney replacement therapy in the form of dialysis or transplant for a long time. Madam VC Chair, it's also known that having two of the risk variants does not necessarily mean that you will develop kidney disease. So there should be other triggers from the environment that probably may be increasing the expression of this gene and increasing our risk of developing kidney disease. So it means that what we are exposed to in the environment and what is inherent within us, our genes, may be working together to damage our kidneys. For instance, exposure to heavy metals from the environment. This day and age of galamsey or small-scale mining, we are exposed to heavy metals from arsenic to mercury to lead, etc. And these things may be interacting with our genes and increasing the risk of kidney disease. Again, climate change in our environment, intake of other toxins like herbal medications, NSAIDs, the over-the-counter painkillers may interact with this gene and increase our risk of developing kidney disease. So really there is a need for us to study this area as well and see how our environment or our exposures are interacting with this gene and increasing our risk of developing kidney disease. It is important because we can catch people in their communities where they are. Look at the air they breathe. Look at the things they are exposed to. Look at their workplaces and classify these people to provide a context-aware kind of care to these people who may be at high risk of developing kidney disease in our part of the world. Madam VC Chair, before I go on, I would like to say that this next slide, if everybody here does not take anything home at all, please take this slide home. Kidney disease is largely very silent. Symptoms arrive too late. And symptoms arrive most of the time when you have lost 90% of your kidney function. So when you're waiting for symptoms like leg swelling or swelling around your eyes, frequent urination, shortness of breath, swollen legs and feet, anemia or low blood count, frothy or foamy urine, nausea, vomiting, or poor appetite, or persistently elevated high blood pressure, you may come in too late. Just like is the case of the patient I presented in the beginning of this lecture. If that woman had come in earlier, or somebody had told her, oh, check your kidney function regularly, perhaps she may have been diagnosed earlier and she may not have to be on dialysis now and suffering psychological problems. So if you don't take anything home at all today, please do this one thing. Check your blood pressure, check your blood glucose, check your urine for protein, check your kidney function at least once a year. Maybe after your birthday, mark it against your birthday. Perhaps maybe when you remember your birthday, you would also remember that I have to check these things. So when I'm diagnosed on time and early, I would be able to get appropriate care that will prevent me from developing kidney disease. Or perhaps if I'm diagnosed early, I could be appropriately treated to delay the progression of kidney disease. Madam VC Chair, patients with chronic illness face a lot of other problems such as heart disease, stroke, etc. But one very important other challenge they face is how these chronic illnesses affect their mind. And the most common mental health problem among these patients is depression. So for instance, when they take diabetes, 2 to 3 times more, diabetes are more at 2 to 3 times more likely to develop depression compared to those who don't have diabetes. Similarly, for hypertension, about 20 to 30% of people who have high blood pressure have depression. Again, similarly for chronic kidney disease, about 20 to 30% of people who have chronic kidney disease have depression. In fact, it's even higher at advanced stages of chronic kidney disease and may go as high as 50% even for those who are on dialysis. Madam VC Chair, some of the reasons why people with chronic illnesses develop mental health issues include: one, there's loss of control. They don't have control anymore. So patients feel profound sense of powerlessness as they manage a condition that dictates their daily routine and long-term health. Again, the complexity of the treatment regimen. So the mental exhaustion caused by complex medication schedules, frequent doctor visits, invasive treatments like dialysis for kidney disease, all these increase their risk of mental illness. Again, adjusting to lifestyle measures as advised by doctors or dietitians significantly changes their lifestyle. So significant changes in diet, physical activity, social life can lead to a sense of grief for this patient. Again, social isolation, physical limitation, and psychological weight of the disease can lead to withdrawal from social cycle. And these actually increases their risk of developing mental illness. So over the past decade, my research group, as I mentioned earlier on, we have been looking at how the mind is affected by chronic illnesses, and this is our first study, which was published in the Ghana Medical Journal, shows that actually up to about 45% of patients who are on dialysis have depression. That is 4 to 5 of every 10 people receiving hemodialysis have significant symptoms of depression, such as persistent sadness, loss of interest, poor sleep, low energy, and hopelessness. Nearly 20% of these people actually have poor quality of life, perhaps as a result of a long-standing illness and depression. And this means that 1 out of every 5 people on hemodialysis report that their overall day-to-day well-being is seriously affected. For example, problems with energy, sleep, pain, mood, independence, ability to work, and social life are significantly affected or impacted by long-standing chronic illness. So we look at data from hypertensive patients as well, and there's high risk of depression among this patient cohort as well. Again, we look at some of our data across Ghana and Nigeria and found a similar pattern. So we know that mental illness can affect adherence to medication and therefore portend poor outcomes for these patients. So we look at patient cohort and look at how many of them really adhere to hypertensive medication. And we found that as much as 66.7% of them were non-adherent to medication. That means that 2 out of every people with high blood pressure in this study were not taking their medication as prescribed. For example, maybe they were missing the doses of medication, stopping the medication for a period of time, or not refilling the medication. So non-adherence, again, in our study was actually associated with depression. That means that when you have depression, you are more likely to be non-adherent and probably have a poor outcome. And when you have a poor outcome for which you don't like, it may depress you again, and this can become a vicious cycle. But on VC, so we actually want to look at how our patients with chronic illness were coping with the long-standing illness, and we look at their coping strategies and also look at their resilience level. Coping in this context, we mean the practical things that people do to handle stress, problem solving, asking for support, calming techniques, and reframing their thoughts. And resilience in this context, we mean being able to recover, keep functioning, and adapt for something that is difficult or unpleasant that may be associated with a long-standing chronic illness. So we found out that the coping strategies of our patients was actually positively correlated with resilience. And that means that people who use more helpful coping strategies tend to have higher resilience. In simple terms, the better you cope, the more likely you are to recover and keep functioning when life is tough. We found out that they were using 2 main coping strategies. One of them is what we call collective collective debriefing, meaning that after a stressful event, if they are able to talk among themselves about what was hard, what went well, what can be improved, and they support each other this way, they are able to cope better. The other coping strategy we found among this population is cognitive debriefing. That means making sense of what is happening to you, making sense of the event. If they're able to make sense of what is happening to them, organize their thoughts very well, challenge unhelpful thoughts. Oh, like it was my fault, challenge those kinds of thoughts and focus on what they can do or learn, they are able to cope better. So when people process stress in healthy ways, especially by talking it through with others and making sense of what happened, they are more likely to cope better and recover faster. One other thing that we found on them BC chair was that even those who care for them matter when it comes to the overall outcome of their well-being, because we found out that even carer resilience was associated with their risk of hypertension. So it's important to also take care of the caretakers of these patients, or actually find a way of improving their resilience level in order to improve the outcome of the patients we care for in the hospital. Madam VC Chair, it is therefore important to know that psychological care or well-being cannot be divorced from care for the chronic illnesses like chronic kidney disease. So we need to screen them very early, detect these conditions, treat them very well in order to improve their outcomes of care. So we can improve adherence just by detecting mental health problems, treating them well, adherence to self-care behaviors, adherence to medication, adherence to lifestyle modification. This will help to improve their outcomes of care, and clinical control of the conditions like diabetes and hypertension, and this will help to slow down the progression of kidney disease, eventually improving their overall outcome of care. Why does this matter clinically? It matters because screening is cheap and very feasible. And when we get depression and treat it early, we can improve the outcomes of care. So we cannot divorce psych care or psychological care from care for chronic illness. We need an integrated clinic where both the psychologists, clinical psychologists, those who take care of hypertension, diabetes, or chronic kidney disease can work together, and they, in a way, screen for these patients who may have this illness, catch them early, treat them on time to improve their overall outcomes of care. Madam VC Chair, many times we have been in the hospital waiting for patients to come with chronic kidney disease, stroke, heart failure, among others. But in order to decrease the burden of these chronic conditions, we don't have to sit in the hospital waiting for them. We need to move to the community. Identify the risk factors that predispose us to these very organ failures. Treat them well to target, or perhaps identify lifestyle changes that give rise to these chronic non-communicable diseases. Treat them well to prevent the development of organ failures that may be associated with these problems. So we took our research back to the community, and prevalence of hypertension in the community is usually between 27 to 35%, meaning that roughly between 20 to 35% of people in a community may be having hypertension. However, 27% of them do not know that they have high blood pressure. And that's sad because that can increase the risk of stroke, heart failure, and chronic kidney disease. So we went to 8 coastal communities, and our intention was to identify people with hypertension and link them to appropriate care. We screened more than close to 10,000 people, and we found out from this population that 26% of people living in these coastal communities actually have high blood pressure, as high as 33% in Crowell municipality and 22% in Weja-Bawe municipality. Madam VC Chair, high blood pressure is a silent disease. It doesn't have symptoms. It will not warn you. So bringing checks of blood pressure to the community, like in community centers, barbering shops, open places in the community, will be key as we can identify more people and link them to appropriate care in order for them to be treated well to prevent the development of organ failures like kidney disease, heart failure, stroke, among others. In fact, community healthcare nurses, community pharmacists could be trained and equipped with knowledge enough to train people on lifestyle modification, to check blood pressure, identify people with BP, and refer them for appropriate care. So it's important to really do some kind of community prevention work to actually decrease the risk of the chronic kidney disease, of heart failure, and of stroke, which inundate us in the hospital. Madam VC Chair, after linking these people to care, we went for some kind of monitoring to find out if people are really attending the hospital for care as we intended. And to our amazement, just about 5 to 10% of people were turning up for care. So we went back to the community again to try and find out why people were not turning up for care, to learn about their understanding of hypertension and its management, and also the barriers which may be preventing them from going to the hospital for care. We found out that these people have good knowledge about hypertension. They know that hypertension has to be treated, otherwise the consequences of not being treated are dire. However, they have very big barriers to care. One is cost. Cost of paying for clinic visits, paying for medications, and paying for transportation to the hospital were the things that were cited. Most of them, as far as the hospital is a bit far from them, they would rather not go. And this actually we found because one of the communities in which the health center was situated right in the community had higher attendance. People came for care because the hospital or health center was just within a walking distance. But where it was far away, majority of people were not turning up. However, we also discovered that they have a strong social network. So they have support from family, friends, and neighbors, and often help comes in the form of financial support, reminders, and emotional support. They also have strong faith networks where people go and share their thoughts, their habits, and are encouraged to live healthy behaviors, or are also encouraged to go to the hospital for care. So what these people in this community are saying, Madam VC Chair, is that we have a strong knowledge of high blood pressure and its management, but we need a care that is affordable. We need a care that is faster to assess. And we need a care that is free of judgment, as most of them also cited stigma as one of the reasons why they would rather not go to the hospital. It is important for us to put measures in place that will bring care right to the community, right to the doorstep of these people in order to improve their outcomes of care. Just like I said earlier on, training community health care nurses, pharmacists could be strategic. That's a tax shifting or tax sharing strategy that can be adopted to improve care to patients or inhabitants of this community. Evidence so far from our work, we've been talking about health-related quality of life determinants of hypertension, and these can improve adherence and improve outcomes of care to our patients. But one other way of improving adherence to our patients is adopting technology in this era and age of technological advancement. So we conducted a systematic review in low and middle income countries, and we found out that simple things as text messaging was able to reduce high blood pressure, was able to improve adherence to medication, and was able to encourage people to adopt healthy lifestyle changes like exercising, reduction in smoking, and also decreased salt intake. So this is something that can be incorporated into our electronic medical record system and can generate messages automatically that can be sent through patients that would encourage them to adopt these behaviors that will improve their outcome. Madam VC Chair, before I proceed to my next session of this presentation, I would like to talk about what happens to patients who progress eventually to kidney failure. They have two options: dialysis or kidney transplant. Hemodialysis, which is the blood type of dialysis, is the most common in Ghana, and peritoneal dialysis, which is also called the water dialysis, is at its infancy, and we hope that it will be developed very soon in our part of the world. So for hemodialysis, you go and lie in that chair, as you can see on the screen, and your blood is washed for the next 4 hours, and you get up and go home, and you do that 3 times a week. And I must say that hemodialysis started in Ghana in 1970 by Prof. Matekole and the team who is seated right in the crowd here. They started with only one machine at Kolebo Teaching Hospital, but now we have hemodialysis everywhere in Ghana, so we have come very far. Madam VC Chair, the ultimate treatment really should be kidney transplantation, as it has much more benefits compared to dialysis, and I'll talk about this very soon. But kidney transplant started in Ghana in 2008 by my predecessors, Dr. Charlotte Osafo, Dr. Jumoye Edu, Professor Matekole, and the team. And since then, it's been done, and I think that is gradually improving, and now we are doing kidney transplant more regularly than it used to be. And in fact, even it's been now being done in the private sector. The Bank Hospital, University of Ghana Medical Center have performed transplant as well. And I believe this is the treatment for our young population who are being afflicted by chronic kidney disease, because these people have to be reintegrated back into society to become more productive again and to become the breadwinners for their families as well. Madam VC Chair, this treatment, however, exerts a huge economic toll on families and on nations as a whole. Currently, we have more than 50 hemodialysis centers in Ghana, but 7 centers still do not have dialysis centers. That means that people have to travel from far or relocate to get this treatment. Most of these treatments are available in the private sector, and the public sector still has, of course, dialysis, but they charge less and therefore are constantly faced with shortage of consumable. Madam VC Chair, the current tariffs for a session of dialysis ranges between 600 to about 850 Ghana cedis in the public sector, and a national health insurance approved fee as of December 2024 was around 491 per session. In the private sector, it ranges between 1,000 to 2,000, and the ideal cost really, Madam VC Chair, is more than 1,000 Ghana cedis. So if you are dialyzing somebody at the approved NHIP rate, it means each session you are losing almost 600 Ghana cedis per session, and that is really that will not help most of these public sectors to be able to run a sustainable unit. So, Madam VC Chair, again, the recommended treatment per week for each patient is 3 sessions per week. That translates into about 156 sessions in a year. So, roughly, the patients could be paying between 156,000 to almost 200,000 Ghana cedis a year, depending on where you are receiving your dialysis. Madam VC Chair, dialysis costs dwarf Ghana's monthly wage. So, for instance, if we decide to charge, say, 380 Ghana cedis, which we used to charge 10 years ago, it means that the patients will pay close to 5,000 Ghana cedis a month for dialysis, which is higher than the average minimum monthly wage for Ghana. And if we decide to charge the NHIS fee of, say, 491 Ghana cedis, that will pay close to 6,000 Ghana cedis per month, again, which is 3 times more than the minimum monthly wage for Ghana. What if we move it a little close to reality by charging, say, 765 Ghana cedis per session? That will raise the cost to almost 10,000 Ghana cedis per month, 5 times more than the average minimum monthly wage for Ghana. And I wonder how many people here can afford this treatment in a long term. Madam VC Chair, this treatment actually impoverishes households as they spend their scarce resources trying to keep their relatives alive. Dialysis patients tend to pay 5 times more than non-dialysis patients. So that's why it is important for us to detect people early and treat them, or institute preventive measures to prevent the development of chronic kidney disease. Historically, National Health Insurance was not paying for dialysis, so people were paying largely out of pocket. I promised talking about the benefits of kidney transplantation earlier on, so I'll mention it at this point. And I'm VC Chair, people who have kidney transplants usually live longer. they have a better day-to-day well-being and fewer symptoms, more freedom and time for normal life such as work, family life, travel, etc. They have a lower risk of heart disease compared to those on dialysis, and in the long term, transplantation tends to be more cost-effective compared to dialysis in the long term. So we have been looking at how the public would accept this kind of treatment in our part of the world. So we ask simple questions, such as if your relative has a chronic kidney disease, would you donate your kidney? And nearly half of them, 48.5%, were willing to donate their kidneys. However, 71.6% of those who participated were willing to donate only when they are dead. There is another So, Madam Vice Chair, another form of transplantation is disease donation, where you can harvest organs from people who are dead or dying and give to people who need it. That is why people are saying when they are dead or dying, their kidneys can be harvested. And we are not practicing this currently in Ghana because we need legislation to support this process. So currently that is being worked on, and hopefully once we have legislation, we would be able to establish this system of kidney transplantation that make more organs available for kidney transplantation. We extended the same question to the patients themselves and asked them a simple question. Would you accept a kidney when it becomes available? And more than 2/3 of them said yes, they would accept a kidney when it becomes available. The 1/3 who were skeptical cited complications of surgery, religious reasons, and also economic reasons for not accepting or not willing to accept kidney for transplantation. We again decided to ask, okay, if you agree to accept kidney for transplantation, would you be willing to pay an appropriate fee for this treatment? And only 26.3% of those who participated said they were willing to pay. And this really poses a huge economic barrier to this life-saving treatment that these young people in our part of the world will need. Madam Vice Chair, at this point, I would like to sincerely acknowledge the remarkable humanitarian contribution of First Sky Group of companies led by its chairman, Mr. Eric Sedekutoche. Over the years, First Sky Group has become a strong pillar of support in the care and management of patients living with kidney failure. The photograph you displayed was taken during their first visit to Kolabo Teaching Hospital, where they donated 2 million Ghana cedis plus a pickup towards the management of these patients. Since then, for the past 9 years, the group has invested more than 50 million Ghana cedis into the treatment of kidney disease through dialysis and kidney transplantation. Their compassion and commitment to humanity have brought hope, relief, and smiles to countless patients and families. On behalf of the kidney community, the hospital, and the many lives touched by this generosity, I wish to express our profound gratitude to Mr. Eric Sedekutoche and the entire First Sky Group for their unwavering support and dedication to humanity. And Madam Vice Chair, as I speak, he is currently renovating sections of the ward in Kolabo Teaching Hospital to provide a convenient learning environment for the medical students. And today, he is here with his team, Mr. Eric Sedekutoche, and then Mr. Gidi, Lawyer Paul. Thank you very much for the good work you are doing for God and country. Madam Vice Chair, there have been some policy shifts as well since 2024. Announcement by NHIS to cover dialysis, which is a dream come true, and also through the Mahama Care, who has embraced this particular policy, and therefore we hope their efforts will complement what is being done by the First Sky Group to put a smile on the faces of these patients. that they can live longer. And I'm happy to say that, in fact, with all these gestures, people are living longer on dialysis in Ghana now. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And I'm also happy to say that, in fact, the longest surviving dialysis patient in Ghana now is 22 years on dialysis. I wasn't a nephrologist then, Madam Vice-Chair, I was a house officer. And I was the house officer who clerked him at the emergency room. So every time I pick his folder, I remember that young man who had no knowledge then. But thus far, the Lord has brought us. So, with regards to policy implication, we hope that our evidence will inform Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service strategies. Prevention must enter NHI's discourse. And I'm happy to hear that the Mahama Care has actually announced a primary prevention package which was launched recently, and I hope this would go a long way to detect hypertension, diabetes, treat them to go, to prevent complications that are associated with them. And these should be done in every community, and everybody should have a fair chance of being well treated to prevent the complications that may come along with this chronic condition. Madam VC Chair, I have the following recommendations. 1, policy and structural recommendation. To broaden national health insurance coverage, ensure more people are covered and protected. Help with the cost of medications and make them more accessible. Reduce financial burden and improve access to essential medicines. Make decentralized health infrastructure a top priority. As I said earlier on, most people do not want to move out of their communities. They want to be cared for right in their community. So we need to do this. We need to implement tax shifting strategies by empowering community healthcare nurses, pharmacists, equipping them with the knowledge they need to educate people on prevention, and also be able to check blood pressure, diagnose people early, and link them to appropriate care. Incorporate digital health technology in the management of these patients. Madam VC Chair, is important because simple text messaging, as from our systematic review, show that simple text messaging can reduce blood pressure, can improve adherence to lifestyle changes as well. So it means that we don't need complicated phones or phone applications. Any phone at all you have, whether it's a YAM or not, you can receive a text message that can instruct you, take your medication. Did you exercise today? Have you taken steps to decrease your salt intake, etc.? These would inure to a good quality outcome. And there's a need to improve psychological care for these patients as well. As we said earlier, they are predisposed to mental health issues, and there's a need for integrated clinic where we can have all these screened for at the same time, treated well to improve their outcomes of care. We also need to fight stigma, because most people with chronic illness do not want to be identified as having chronic illness. They want to rather hide than go to the hospital. So it's important for us to fight stigma and misunderstanding. It's also important for us to do some feasibility and cost effectiveness studies to assess whether these suggestions would work or not in the long term. It's my prayer that they would work to the benefit of our patients. Madam VC Chair, at this point, I would synthesize what I've been saying so far and state my vision. So, psychological care cannot be divorced from chronic illness. We need an integrated psychological screening in our clinics. We need to go to the community, identify hypertension and other chronic illnesses, treat them to go to delay progression of chronic kidney disease or prevent other organ damages. And there's a need for us to know that we have a genetic predisposition to kidney disease, so we can do a responsible ApoL1 informed care or screening that will identify people at high risk of developing chronic kidney disease and provide a tailor-made target treatment that would improve their outcomes of care. So at this point, distinguished colleagues, the future of nephrology in Africa cannot be built on dialysis machines alone. It cannot rely solely on imported models of care, nor can we afford to ignore the lived experiences of our patients. Our evidence tells us something clear. Depression is not peripheral to kidney disease, it is biological. Hypertension is not merely an individual failure. It is a community challenge. And genetics, when divorced from ethics and equity, risks widening the very gap we seek to close. We seek to close. The task before us, therefore, is not simply to treat kidneys, but to treat people within families, within communities, and within societies shaped by unique biological histories. I submit that Africa must not only participate in the era of precision medicine, we must help define it. A precision that is humane, precision that is ethical, a precision that is African. This is our scholarly responsibility, and this is our clinical duty, and this, I believe, is the work to which my career has been dedicated. And I thank you all for listening to me this evening. So I would like to acknowledge a VC and a university management for the opportunity to give this lecture, the Provost, College of Health Sciences, University of Ghana, the Dean and Faculty, University of Ghana Medical School, Department of Medicine and Therapeutics, my own department. I'm grateful for your support, and I'm grateful for helping me do my work. The Director of Medical Affairs and Kolebo Teaching Hospital, the H3 Africa Kidney Disease Network, Urology and Nephrology Center of Excellence and the Renal Unit, my medical research group that I described earlier on, which is led by Professor Matekole, and few people that I didn't mention earlier, Anna, Louisa, who have been the coordinators of the research within this group, Aiko, Professor Kwesi Tope, who have been an encouragement to me, Professor Aaron Lawson for his encouragement and support, Professor Yautete, Professor Kodono, Professor Fure Ejay, and many more, Professor C.M. Bitego, my father, Professor Ncheche. God bless you all for helping, and all who help in diverse ways to see me this far. I am sincerely grateful. Kolebo Community Chapel and the Padis Group, students, friends, Sahel Dialysis Unit, the organizing team of this particular exhibition of scholarly work and the inaugural lecture led by Professor Irene Krechi, my dear wife, Esther, Stephanie, Eben, Princess, and my own friend, Professor Francis Ajekun. God bless you. So, my parents and siblings, Madam VC Chair, I was born to Mr. Lawrence Kojo Boima of blessed memory, and may his soul continue to rest peacefully. And Mrs. Christine Akosia Boima, who is seated here today. They have invested their time, energy, and resources in making sure we succeed. They sacrifice their comfort and freedom for us to succeed. My mother is my prayer warrior. And so, any day, the day that God will call her home, I have to become my own prayer warrior. Thank you very much, Ma'am. So we also acknowledge our sponsors, so H3 Africa Kidney Disease Network, NIDDK, National Institute of Health, Moringa Ingham, GIZ, Ghana Heart Initiative, our patients who allowed us to conduct our research, who allowed us to care for them, we are grateful. Communities where we conduct our research, we are grateful. All other collaborators and mentors who I did not mention, we are grateful to you all. But I would like to comment on Research and Innovation Director, University of Ghana. They have supported our research group and have played significant roles in our progression. In fact, they gave us grants for most of our works. So Research and Innovation Directorate, Prof, we are grateful. And last but not the least, my boss in the house, who is in control of me, myself, my son, Fafa, and my daughter, Kekeli. She is the boss. She controls everything. She dictates the pace, and we all follow. She has been the pillar behind me. I say my mother is a prayer warrior, I have another prayer warrior in the house. In fact, sometimes I'll be on my way, and I'm by the car, and she'll run and say, wait, stop, let's pray. Afi Ofosu Boima. Fafa, and Kekeli. Thank you very much. And on this note, I thank all of you for coming here to listen to me. I'm deeply grateful for your support. Thank you.
I think the applause says it all. I don't have to add anything else, and so want to continue to congratulate Professor Vincent Boima. Thank you for sharing your many years of research and work in kidney care and kidney disease. He mentioned during his presentation that if you didn't hear anything at all, please remember that you need to take your medical checks very seriously so that you can delay the progression of chronic kidney disease. And I hope that all of us are taking something home with us this evening. Please, another round of applause for him. When we are confronted with issues of health, it's not always the best things to hear. And so as we digest everything that Prof. Boima has shared with us this evening, we'd like to invite you to relax and to enjoy a performance by the Ghana Dance Ensemble. This evening, the Ghana Dance Ensemble will perform for us the Bobobo dance, which is a popular, lively dance in many other communities in Ghana. It's performed during social gatherings to welcome guests and serves as a unifying cultural symbol. And this dance was selected to reflect our inaugural lecturer's heritage and to celebrate him on the attainment of this great feat in academia. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the Ghana Dance Ensemble in the Bobobo dance. A round of applause for them, please. Thank you very much. That was the Ghana Dance Ensemble in the Bobobo dance. Thank you so much for bringing color to this evening's inaugural lecture. Thank you. It's now time for presentations to our inaugural lecturer, and I would like to invite the following groups. When I call you forward, please come quickly. Do your presentation, and then we'll have the next group come back. So I would like to start first of all with the College of Health Sciences. We know that Prof is from the Department of Medicine and Therapeutics, which is located in the College of Health Sciences. A round of applause as they come forward. Prof, you can come. And as they come forward, please, the University of Ghana Medical School and the Department of Medicine and Therapeutics, please get ready to come up for your presentation. Thank you very much, College of Health Sciences. Can we have the University of Ghana Medical School and the Department of Medicine and Therapeutics please come forward and make your presentation? As the department is making their presentation, could we ask the Medical Research Group, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, please come forward. As soon as they are done, you would make your presentation. The Medical Research Group and Kolebu Teaching Hospital, please get ready to make the next presentation. Thank you very much. Medical Research Group and Kolebu, please come forward to make your presentation. Prof, can we ask you to use the stairs? It looks like the team is there are many people, so we want to capture as many as possible. So we'll do that photograph on the stairs. Please get ready, School of Public Health and UGMS class of 2003-2004. Thank you very much, Medical Research Group and Kolebu. Next, we'll have the School of Public Health and UGMS class of 2002-2003 to make their presentation. As they come up, please, alumni of Bishop Herman College and the 1994 year group, please get ready to make your presentation. Thank you very much. We now have alumni of Bishop Herman College in 1994 year group. Please make your presentation. And as they do this, we'll ask Kolebu Community Chapel and Padis to get ready. Thank you very much, Bishop Herman College. We'll kindly ask the Kolebu Community Chapel and Padis to come forward. Thank you very much, Bishop Herman College, for coming in style. We now have the Kolebu Community Chapel and Padis do their presentation now. And as they come forward, Ghana Kidney Association, Renal Unit Associations, please get ready to do your presentation after this. Ghana Kidney Association, the Renal Units and Allied Associations, please get ready to do your presentation after this. So as they take the photo, I'd like to ask the Ghana Kidney Association and the Renal Associations to please get ready on this side. Thank you very much, Kolebu Community Chapel and Padis. Yes, can we have you up now? Yes. And as they come forward, Sahel Health Ghana, please get ready to do the next presentation. Sahel Health Ghana. Prof, I think we have to have you down again so we can have everybody up here for the group photograph. Thank you very much. As they finish the photograph, we'd like to ask Sahil Health Ghana to... Can we say Sahil Health Ghana? Okay. Can I see Sahel Health Ghana? Okay, all right. Thank you very much to the Ghana Kidney Association and the Renal Associations. We'll now have Sahel Health Ghana do their presentation. We'd like to announce that those who are not on the list, there's a table outside. Please kindly leave your gifts there. Your name will be taken and it will be passed on to Prof. First Sky Group, please, you can come forward and do the presentation with Sahil Health. Thank you very much. As First Sky Group has come, we would like to ask the family to get ready. Would like to invite our official beverage sponsors, Promasidor Ghana, to come forward to do their presentation. Promasidor Ghana, thank you for your continued support for all our inaugural lectures. Promasidor Ghana will take your presentation before the family. Thank you very much. Promasidor Ghana, please come. Promasidor Ghana is our official beverage sponsor and they have a gift for our inaugural lecture. Please join us to appreciate them for all their support for all our inaugural lectures. Thank you very much, Promasidor Ghana. So I'd like to invite the extended family to come forward. The extended family of Professor Boima, please come forward to make your presentation. As soon as that is done, we'll have the immediate family do their presentation. Yes, can we have the family members? Please, can we have you step down so that we can have everybody? We'll take more pictures afterwards. So if you are not in these photos, please don't feel left out. More photos will take place after the lecture. Thank you very much. Can we have the immediate family now? Yes. Let's first have the mother of Professor Boima do this first, and then we would have the family join in. I don't understand. Please, this is for the mother of Professor Boima. And last but certainly not least, we'll have Professor Boima's wife and children. Please, let's acknowledge them as they come forward to make their presentation. We'll take more photographs after the program, so please kindly bear with us. Thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier on, there's a table outside for those who are not on the list. You bear with me that if we have to take all the presentations, we won't leave here this evening. So please kindly leave your name and your gifts at the table. We'll make sure that Prof gets it afterwards. So thank you very much. I would like to now invite the Vice-Chancellor, who is Chairperson of today's ceremony, to deliver her closing remarks. A round of applause as she comes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Acting Director, Public Affairs, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, family and friends of our inaugural lecturer, ladies and gentlemen. What an insightful and deeply human lecture we have just experienced. Professor Boima, on behalf of the University of Ghana, I thank you not only for a compelling academic presentation, but for reminding us that at the heart of medicine is not simply disease, but people, their stories, and their lived realities. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to share some lessons I take away from this lecture and from the man himself. The first lesson for me is that precision medicine must be contextual. Prof. Boima showed us that precision care in Africa cannot just be about the importation of technologies or genomics. It must integrate genes, environment, and lived experiences. Precision in our context must also mean equity. With such a high prevalence rate, especially among youthful, economically active population, our approach has to be deliberate and targeted. Prof, what got me thinking most perhaps was the ethnic disparities in genetic dispositions. And I wondered whether inter-ethnic marriages can be a panacea to this. The second lesson for me is that prevention is not optional, it is urgent. We have heard clearly that chronic kidney disease in our setting is common, it is silent, and often detected way too late, with devastating consequences for individuals and their families. If we do not close the tap, as you aptly put it, we will continue to invest heavily in dialysis while losing the battle upstream. Let's do our early checks as you recommended on our birthdays. If you're a staff of the University of Ghana, I'm sure that on your birthday, maybe last year, or if you already celebrated your birthday this year, you got a message from the Vice-Chancellor wishing you well and suggesting that you take your annual medical checks. Maybe you haven't taken me seriously because I'm only a linguist, but now you have heard it from the professor of medicine and nephrology. And so this time around, you can't afford to ignore it. You have to take that seriously. The third lesson is that the mind is not separate from the body. Prof, your work reminds us that depression, anxiety, and social stress are not peripheral. They directly affect adherence, outcomes, and the quality of life. In other words, in kidney care, as in life, how we feel shapes how we heal. And this is a reminder that interdisciplinarity is key for impactful research outcomes. Therefore, in our quest as a university to deliver on our second strategic priority, which is impactful research, we should not remain in our silos, but we should work effectively together. Professor Boima's research group has shown us that we can do this with considerable success. Thank you for showing us the way. And the fourth lesson comes from your journey, Prof, the power of mentorship and systems building. From your training across Ghana and beyond, to your role in developing nephrology capacity and mentoring the next generation, your career reflects a deliberate commitment not just to treat patients, but to build systems and people who will continue the work. You have built on the efforts of others, and such important work must outlive you and your peers. And that doesn't happen accidentally. It can only be the result of deliberate and sustained efforts, which I see you already doing. And by the way, I love the integrated approach of your Cape Town mentor, and I can't wait for you to get your 6 packs back. Now, one image that will stay with me is the story of the patient that you mentioned at the beginning of your lecture, who asked, "Doctor, can this have been prevented?" Yes, it is a clinical question, but it's also a systems question and perhaps even a lifestyle question. We heard about the cost of care, which is staggering. But sometimes, as you alluded to, we even don't think about the hidden costs, such as transportation and other social factors. And I'm sure that from all that we have heard this evening, in spite of the promise of Mahama Cares, we will leave here with a renewed commitment to make lifestyle changes, to drinking more water, to reducing our salt, to exercising, and taking our blood pressure a little more seriously. Prof. Boima, your lecture this evening has not only presented knowledge, it has reframed how we think, it has challenged how we act, and it has clearly clarified what is at stake. You reminded us that we must move beyond dialysis-centered care. We must treat people, not just kidneys. And most importantly, that Africa must not only participate in precision medicine, but we should help define this. And as a side note, as you were talking about kidney transplant and the issue of donors, willing donors and dying donors, I was just reminded of what my daughter told me earlier today. She was reading an article which suggested that mothers form the largest group of living organ donors. So for mothers, we don't wait till we are dying before we donate. Mothers form the largest group of living organ donors. Before I bring my closing remarks to a close, I'd like to make 2 acknowledgments. First, I would like to acknowledge the private support that we've had for our healthcare systems. And this evening, the spotlight is on the Fair Sky Group. I want to appreciate you for all the support that you have given for chronic kidney care in this country. Mr. Eric Sede, Kutoche, and your team, we appreciate you very much for this. And the second acknowledgement is for within, and that is for our Research and Innovation Directorate. As a university, we support research which produces significant results. That's impactful research. And we heard from our lecturer this evening how the Directorate has been very supportive of the work of him and his peers, his research group. And so the Research and Innovation Directorate deserves a round of applause. Prof. Reid, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have not only celebrated a distinguished scholar, we have engaged a body of work that speaks directly to national and continental relevance. Professor Boima, we celebrate you, your scholarship, your service, and your impact. And thank you for bringing all these people together. I think for me, this is the first time I'm hearing the Biheko anthem, and those guys can sing well. And thank you for delivering so eloquently on your chosen topic, from genes to mind, holistic pathways to precision kidney care for Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me once again in congratulating our inaugural lecturer. On that note, I would like to thank you all for coming, for being such an engaged audience, and I wish you a very pleasant evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice-Chancellor, for steering affairs of this evening's inaugural lecture to a successful end. But before we go, we would like to acknowledge a few personalities who are here with us. First on the list, we would like to acknowledge the presence of our revered chiefs and elders from the Leklebi traditional area. As you can see, they came in their numbers to support Professor Boima. I would like to acknowledge Togbe Day IV, Chief of the Leklebi Fiape and Acting President of Leklebi Traditional Council. Thank you very much for being here with us. We're also joined by Mamaga Atovi IV, who is the paramount Queen Mother of the Leklebi Traditional Area. Thank you also for being here. We also had with us Togbe Konda IV, who is the Chief of Leklebi Agbesia. Thank you so much for also making it. We had with us Mama Nonyo III, Queen Mother of Leklebi Agbesia. Thank you also for joining us. Also present here is Togbe Kalepe IV, Awefia, Warlord of Leklebi Agbesia. Thank you very much. We also had Togbe Dri III, Afeto, Landlord, Leklebi Agbesia. Thank you for also being here. Would also like to acknowledge Mr. George Klu, Acting Chief Linguist of Leklebi Agbesia. Thank you so much. And Madame Victoria Agbaga, who is the Acting Female Linguist of the Leklebi Agbesia. We also had with us Mr. Noel Abochi, Regent, Leklebi Agbesia. And Mr. George Doe, DSP retired, Clan Head, Kalefe Family, Leklebi Agbesia. And also Togbe Akpotoi IV, Akpeto, Leklebi Duga. It looks like today we emptied the palace. Everyone is here to support Prof. Thank you so much. We also have Togbe Stromani III, Sohafia, youth leader of Leklegbi Agbesia. Thank you very much. And we have Colonel Theophilus Teria, who we also want to acknowledge. If you are here, please give us a wave from wherever you are seated. And Mr. Paul Asimenu, please also give us a wave. Thank you very much. We are all very important, but unfortunately we can't mention everyone by name. Permit me to acknowledge one of our former Vice-Chancellors, Emeritus Professor Clifford Niboy-Tego, who is here with us with his wife. Prof, wherever you are, please give us a wave. We are also joined by two former provosts. I spot Professor Aaron Nilante Lawson, who is seated here. Thank you, Prof. And if I saw correctly, I think I saw Professor Yautete as well. Yes, Prof, thank you so much for being here. We are grateful to all of you who made it. Please join me to acknowledge our colleagues from the Center for Disability Studies and Advocacy who gave us the sign language interpretation. We're joined by Mrs. Joyce Nyakwa Agbedoho and Martin Atta Nyamiche from that. Thank you very much. We also have with us students from Presbyterian Boys Secondary School. Please give us a wave. They are up in the gallery. Thank you for always honoring our invitation. We hope that you've been inspired, and we look forward to receiving you here at the University of Ghana when the time comes. Thank you very much. Now to the order of refreshments. After the university anthem and after the recession, we'll ask all our guests and members of convocation to join us at this side of the Great Hall, the North Wing, for refreshments. All students here in the hall, please, you'd have refreshments at the A. Kwapong Quadrangle, which is the forecourt of the Great Hall. Beverage sponsors, Promasidor, have arranged something very beautiful and wonderful for us. So please visit the stand. And also to let you know that Promasidor has products on sale at the forecourt of the Great Hall. So please, let's support them as they also support us during our lectures. And so I'd like to thank all of you for coming, for making this inaugural lecture memorable for our lecturer. We look forward to receiving you at our future events. If you turn with me to the inner cover of your brochure, you'll find our upcoming events listed there. Please note that Professor Boima will be hosted on Radio Universe 105.7 FM on the 20th of May. That's next week, Wednesday. He will throw more light on his topic today, and you also can join us with your questions via a WhatsApp line that will be shared during the program. So please, we hope that you make a date with us. Also on the 28th of May, we'll gather back here for another inaugural lecture, this time by Professor Yao Asare Afrani. He's with the Department of Medical Microbiology at the University of Ghana Medical School as well. His topic is there, Fighting the Bite, Human Activities and the Changing Landscape of Mosquito-Borne Disease in Africa. So we look forward to receiving you at that lecture as well. And also please note our upcoming Student Experience Conference. Will provide details in our various news portals. So thank you very much. I'll kindly ask you to rise for the University Anthem.
Tower of learning, His love will fill the world. our nation proud. Arise, O Legon, defend the cause of freedom. Proceed in truth and integrity to make our nation proud. Arise, O Legon, defend the cause of freedom. Proceed in truth and integrity to make our nation proud. Arise, O Legon, defend the cause of freedom. Proceed in truth and integrity to make our nation proud.
Hello. Yo, Luis.